Hi there, MTSU friends. Welcome, particularly if it's your first exposure to Canvas today. Special pat on the back there for you. Like with learning any brand new field or content area, you're going to see some new concepts and we'll talk about some new vocabulary. So have that beginner's mindset as we take a high level, 30,000 feet high overview of Canvas. So let's go ahead and start here with what you should expect to see when you log into Canvas for the first time. And you will land on a space that will look similar to this once you are in the platform. You'll see a colored bar here with various functions on it. This is called your global navigation area. But the main space here, the Canvas dashboard, is where you'll see announcements as well as your published and unpublished courses. Or you may have just unpublished courses. Let me explain. Before you are going to unleash these courses on students, you will need to spend some time preparing them. We will have detailed trainings later about that. And courses that are published, like this calculus class, will make it available to students. So if I have students enrolled in the course, because it is a published course, they will have access. They will click on the card and locate their work and readings there. On the other hand, this pre-calculus class is unpublished. So I may very well have students here, but the students would not be able to see the course, meaning they can't access your work. So to make this course visible to students, you should always publish the thing. That is rule number one of Canvas. So I would click on this publish button here, which pops it into the published courses area. And now students enrolled in the class can click on the card and go ahead and start. Now you also see here that these cards have this colored layer sitting on top of them. This is pale blue, this is purple. The color choice here is important because this pale blue color is the color of those corresponding events and assignment due dates on the calendar. The idea here is that you can customize this for yourself. So for you, if you want to mark a certain class with a certain color, you can select the three dots on it and choose a different color like this bright red. So all events and due dates on the calendar will now appear for this class in this pink color. This is individual, however, so if I choose pink, it doesn't mean the students see pink. The students can choose their own color as they see fit. And similar to this, students and you can actually rearrange their courses so they can put them in order, for example, of their class schedule. You can do this too. So I'm a fictional calculus instructor in this scenario. So if this calculus class is indeed Mondays at 8 a.m., I can use this drag and drop function to make sure it's top left. Now, elsewhere on your dashboard, you'll see your beautiful MTSU logo, as well as two sections off to the right on the dashboard. Students have these areas too, but as an instructor, I have a to-do area. The to-do space is where I can see, in my case, two students, or there have been two submissions to this assignment. So I could choose to click this link and go straight to the grading space, and I could start to grade. Underneath that area, you have a coming up area. The coming up area lets you know events and due dates that are coming soon. So in this case, I have pre-calculus office hours coming soon, and this discussion board is coming soon for students. Students will also have these areas too. So in their case, they'll see assignments that are coming due soon and assignments that they have to submit would all be here. Now that's the dashboard. Your students will have a similar view. So they'll have course cards, a to-do area, and a coming up area. And they'll also have a global navigation. Part of, I think, getting used to any new space, think about the time you logged into, or I don't know, I said logged into. Think of the time when you moved into your new home for the first time and things look similar but yet different. You want to make the space more like you, though. So, one thing you'll want to do in Canvas is to customize your experience. And so, to start that, you'll click on your account button here and see how you can modify your experience in Canvas. One thing I would recommend we all do is to indicate to Canvas which changes in Canvas you want to be notified of in your MTSU email. In other words, set your notifications for Canvas. Otherwise, you may very well get a lot of emails from Canvas that you don't want. Now, as you kind of move with me here down the list, I have a lot of notifications turned off because I don't want to get an email from Canvas every time I change a due date. That seems kind of ridiculous. So you'll want to make sure to, think about those things you want to be notified of from Canvas. And for me, as a former chemistry instructor, I saw chemistry in the chat there. I always wanted to know when a student submitted late. I wanted to know even if it was 3 in the morning if they submitted late. That was the kind of person I was. So I always had this notification on to be notified immediately in an email. Now, if you don't like to be told at 3 a.m., I don't blame you. You can choose a different frequency of notification emails there. So in that way, that notification comes from Canvas straight to your MTSU email. And you can modify these notifications at any time if you find you're missing emails and notice of activities. Another notification I would recommend you have on has to do with conversations. As we'll see a little bit later, there is a Canvas email function. I put that in air quotes. So if you want to know about messages students send you in Canvas, you can turn on those notifications here. Another thing you may want to do is to customize your profile. At least put your picture here. Your students can see your picture in Canvas, so that helps get to know you a little bit better. So when you click on your profile, select Edit Profile, and you can upload your picture here. If you wish, you can edit other aspects of the profile. So you can add a biography. You can even add your office phone number or maybe a link to your research website or personal website or LinkedIn. I leave it up to you. And then hit save. So I would encourage you to take a minute and customize at least notifications and maybe add a profile picture. And then I guarantee you're going to feel more at home once your picture is up there. Now, moving on from the account space, let's take a look at the calendar. I have it here in a separate tab, but you can click on the calendar button. Now, my calendar here has some colored cards on it, right? So you see here, for instance, 2 p.m. office hours here, department meeting here, but they're in different colors. If you remember my talk about color overlays on top of the course cards, you see they're correlated to specific calendars. So this blue color matches with actually it's not blue, it's purple. This purple color matches with the purple color of this calculus class. So this tells me this is related to calculus, whereas events related to pre-calculus are in this teal color. So that's the utility of the color coding. Now, don't fret. Whenever you set up an assignment and you set a due date there, you'll see that a bit later. Students will automatically see a reference to that on their calendar. So, for example, when I set up this assignment. I set it up to be due on the 28th, and this automatically appeared here for students. And when students click on that, they can see the directions of the assignment. Now, if you need to adjust the due date, so for instance, I made a mistake. This problem set is actually due on the 29th. You can drag it over to the 29th and it auto updates the students' calendars too. Now, to add a new event to the calendar, for example, pre-calculus has office hours. You're going to want to create an event. Events are created in the plus button here. You would go ahead and enter in the title. Then the first date you're going to offer those office hours. Let's say it's going to start on Monday. You'll enter in a start time, maybe 11 to 12. And here you can set up a frequency. So let's say pre-calculus rather, is going to be weekly on Mondays. Under event location, you can put a Zoom link if they're virtual or your office number. And finally, really important, you need to pick the correct course. They are tied to courses. I want to pick pre-calculus so the pre-calculus students see it. And you notice the color bar changed because it matches the color I picked earlier on the dashboard. So when I hit submit, watch the 26th. See there's my office hour here, and it will repeat. So if I go to February, see there are my office hours here. So at a glance, that's how you can go ahead and maneuver and add items to your calendar. Now onwards to the inbox. This is Canvas's email option. I put that lightly. It's not really email. But students can send you messages in the inbox, and you can also send messages to students there too. Here's an example of a thread I have going with this student. It started out with me reminding students, your first problem set is due. And then Bruce emailed me back and said, hey, I'm struggling with this. And then I sent a message back. Now, you notice this window here. That's because if you wish, you can send a video message or an audio message. So I'll choose to be vulnerable here. I did put on makeup, so it should be okay. I'll go ahead and click on Compose New Message. Let's say I want to send a welcome message to the pre-calculus students. I'll choose everybody in the course. I'll choose welcome. Now I can type a message, but right down here is a way you can add that audio or video comment. And so here, you can, by the way, turn off your webcam if you're shy. But if this is what you want, you just start to record, and then that recording can be pushed out to all students in the Canvas inbox. And then you would hit send. So that's how, at a glance, you can quickly get out those inbox messages. And all of those conversations are stored here for future reference. In order to be notified that you get one of these messages, again, you'll want to go to your account and set that in notifications. So the specific notification I'm speaking about here is conversations. And I would set a notification for a new conversation message. So this is to let you know someone sent you a message in Canvas. Now, finally, in the global navigation, you have a help area. You have incredible support from MTSU folks, many of which are on the call. You should absolutely reach out to them first, right? Because they know your context best. But I wanted to also assure you that you can obtain assistance from Canvas too. Don't be shy. Like, these folks are very helpful and want to help. So if you want to chat with Canvas support, you can click on that link, and enter a web chat with Canvas. You can also call. And then right here is a link to your MTSU service desk as well. Now, if you're more of a DIY person, some of us are, and you like to search things out on your own, you can access our website with help resources. These are called the Canvas guides. When you select on that link, you can use the search bar. So for example, how do I use the inbox? And then look through and see if you can find a resource. So right off, here's a video on how to use the inbox. Or my recommendation, if you want to find written out help articles like a how-tos, you can search, just filter by articles and see if you can find the help resource you're looking for. Before we leave the global navigation, I just want to assure you that you'll always have access to these buttons, even if you're inside a course, and that's where we're going to head to next.
Hey, Helen, there's one question in the chat
Sure.
from Kevin Cranbuel. If you set office hours and choose your name rather than a course, as his hours are general, will that be viewable? Is it possible to create an event for just general office hours?
Oh, that's an excellent question, but no, they're tied to a course. So you have to set up office hours for prep one and then office hours for prep number two. So that would entail that you set up a event in each of those courses, but that event has the same information.
Thanks, Helen.
Mhm.
And Karen, we're going to get to your question in just a second. I think Jimmy's still on this call, and we'll message you in the chat.
All right. Let's head into a course next. So I'll go ahead and show you my calculus course here. Now, our global nav is still available, but off to the right of it, you see a second area with links in it. There are several links here, like assignments, which has a crossed out eyeball. And this means we are deliberately hiding this space from students. Let me tell you the best practice here. And this comes from a former chemistry instructor that also was in your position 8, 9 years ago, learning Canvas. I try to allow students the most access possible initially. I let students see assignments and discussions. But I also found, because they would tell me, students would say, I'm getting lost. I don't know where to find things. And I would say, well, go to assignments, right? Because it's an assignment. And they would say, but it's too confusing in there. So I eventually moved to a system where all items for students are found in modules. So just one place for students to check to find any assignment, discussion, reading, video, page, file, whatever it may be. And eventually students will get it. Just tell them, find it in modules, find it in modules, more in modules later. I would also recommend that you have as few links as possible showing to students. So let me show you what I mean by this, because this is an instructor. If you want to see the student view, there's a view as student button. So this is what a student would see in my calculus class. See how there's just a few links? That's good. That's fewer areas to explore. In the meantime, students have access to a home page. And this home page is meant to be an introduction to you and the course. And I have a description of the course, my contact information, as well as some buttons. By the way, this beautiful homepage is available in another area of Canvas, and your MTSU folks can get you access to homepages like this so that you can make it your own. So this is what our students would see for this course. And off to the right here, they see a to-do list, right? Remember, I talked about that on the dashboard. It's also available in the course homepage. And all these links are clickable. So if I wanted to see the syllabus as a student, I could, or the modules area, I could. And then to come back to my regular instructor view, I just leave that view. Now, to modify what is visible to students, you can access your settings and do that. So inside the course, you'll select on settings and head on over to navigation. So check it out here, right? Here's home, syllabus, announcements. So these are the visible aspects of the course. And all of the other areas are hidden. So let's take this lucid whiteboard. I don't think I need to have it. So I can take this item and drag it to the bottom to hide it. And then later on, if I want to use that feature with students, I can drag it back up to the top and put it in my preferred location. So I would recommend for all, keep it simple. Just have visible the syllabus. I would have announcements. I would have modules because that's where students find their work, and then grades. And that's it. Don't give them more. They really don't need more. And then I would scroll down here to the bottom and save it. And if you want to check that student view, you can go back to home and click on view as student to see that student experience. You see that whiteboard link is no longer there. Now, other things you can do in settings. Let's go ahead and explore that for a bit. Taking a look at course details here. For example, you can change the image. Remember on my dashboard, you saw photos on the course cards. It's a good idea to make the photo match your course. So for biology, find a picture of DNA. For a geography class, maybe find a picture of a map. You get the idea. So if you'd like to switch out the image, select on the three dots for it here, and then click on this first tab and you can pull up a picture from your computer. Many of the items you see here, honestly, you could skip. I don't think it's vital to change these. But here's a couple of thoughts on what you could adjust. Default due time, for example. This time will pop up whenever you set a due date. So you can have, say, Friday at 6 p.m. show up. If you want to have a different due time, you can. Let's do that again. So I can pick, say, 8 o'clock as my due time. Another thing you may want to set here is located at the very bottom of settings, and it's called Show Recent Announcements on Course Homepage. Right now I have it on. I do want to show you what it's like with it off though. So let me go ahead and save that. Now, if you recall, before I had something called recent announcements up here, but now that's missing, right? Course announcements are how you can send one message out to all students in the course with one message. It's very quick. Like that time I got into a car accident and realized I was not coming to class that day. So, nerd that I was, I went on my Canvas app and I sent an announcement to the students. And I'm sure they celebrated at that point. But here's the thing. A student has to go to announcements to see the announcement. And they don't always do that. So I would recommend you make it so that the most recent announcement appears at the top of the home page. So watch this welcome to the class. I'll go to settings here. I'll turn that back on to show recent announcements. And then I'll update course details. And now when I go back to home, the most recent announcement appears at the top. I don't have to click anywhere to find it. So students no longer had an excuse saying, I didn't see your announcement. Well, it was on the home page. So And you can check that out, see here as view as student. All right. From here, I want to go ahead and show you the day-to-day student accessing your work in modules. So let's go ahead and go there now. You would click on the modules link. And let's take a look at how you might structure your course. And I say might because I know your brain and your course are going to demand different things, and that's okay. So a module in Canvas is a folder. It's an accordion folder. So it opens from top down like this. I think there's a similar feature in D2L. And you would use this feature to sequence your course. So I had a welcome module. I had a unit 1, a unit 2, a unit 3. That's how I liked to do things. You can go by week, like week 1, week 2, week 3. You could do project 1, project 2, project 3, chapter 1, chapter 2. You get the idea. So if I was missing, say, maybe I enrolled late, right? And I need to go back and work on Unit 1, I just access the Unit 1 folder with all of the resources contained inside of that section of the course. Now, just to show you here, you can make your module have sections. So I have an introduction section. I have a content section. I have a assignments section. I have a conclusion section. There are various items you can have in the module too. So this is a page. And on this page, students can see what we're about to cover, my objectives. And I've even created here a to-do list with links. So if a student clicked on the link, it would go to that item. So this is just to prepare their brains for the content that is about to come. Here is the content area. So just to show you here, I'll just click on this page. You can have content be on a page like this page. And as you can see, images look great. You can also add links to websites. You can have embedded PowerPoints or linked PowerPoints here. You can have PDFs here. You can have all kinds of things can be part of a page to get that content in front of students' eyes. Now, the way I've created this is I've made it so that there's a page for each piece of content. So if I was a student, I can click on next to go to the next section, just to show you tables look good. And I can click next to go to the next section after that. Or as a student, I can go back to modules and just click on each of these links as I go through and take notes and process your content. Now, I do have a long module. Please don't feel like you have to have a long module like this. The point is to have a consistent module structure. So if you like to go by units, then keep doing units. If you like to go by weeks, keep going by weeks and have each of your modules have a very predictable structure. So here's my Unit 2 module with the same setup, introduction, lesson, assignments, looking ahead. Now, the way to create a new module is to click on the plus module button here. Let's say I want to make Unit 4. Your new module appears at the bottom, and you would use this plus button right here to add your content. When you click that plus button, there is a drop down that lets you see what kinds of items you can add to your module. So you can add student deliverables, files, pages, links. External tools are tools that work with Canvas like Panopto, like Office 365. And text headers are what you would use to create these sections. So just so that you can see here, this is how I would create an introduction section. You see there. And then as I keep on adding items to modules, I can move the items inside and up and down in a module to make the sequence make sense. You also see here on my module page, some of these folders have a check mark and some don't. And this is on purpose. Remember what I said about courses being published. Modules also have to be published. Because watch, remember that student view? So if I was a student in this course, I would only see the modules that are published, not the others. So the others are for the instructor to build and add to. They're not ready for students to see, but these modules are. So I can click on them. I can access the material, and I can enter my assignments, which is where we're going to go next. So here's that instructor view with those modules that are still being prepared. Let me pause here and see if there are any quick questions I can answer before we move on to assignments. All right, Helen, you're brilliant. Okay, I'll go ahead and move on. All right. So heading on into assignments here. See right here, again, I mentioned this, I'll mention it again. I have an assignments link here with a crossed out I. We make assignments visible in modules. This area here is for the instructor to organize assignments. It's not for students to see. Students get their assignments here. But it is important to organize your assignment space, frankly, for you, not for the students. So inside of the assignments space, you have a similar setup. You have these folders. These folders in assignments are called groups. When you get to this point in your Canvas journey, I would encourage you to have your syllabus next to you so that you can match your syllabus categories to the assignment groups that you have here. You should even put them in order. So maybe in my syllabus, I have an assignments and discussions category. These assignments here can be reordered. But I would encourage you to keep this neat. Put this in chronological order because the order of assignments here is the order of assignments in the grade book. That's why the order matters. You don't want these to be out of order. Now, when you come into this space for the first time, you might see pre-populated groups here. If you would rather create your own group, select on the plus group button here. So I just clicked on that button and create a new group according to your syllabus. So maybe we have a journals category. I'll go ahead and hit save here. And then I'll place it in whatever order it also happens to be in my syllabus. Maybe journals there is third. And then when I go on to create assignments, I'll make sure that the assignment belongs to the journals category. Now, there are some things you should know about this space besides all those factoids. For one thing, the setup of the gradebook is here. It's not actually in the gradebook. And by that, I mean things like this. Do you see this rule right here? I've made it so that Canvas will drop the lowest score from this category. That's a rule. So to institute a rule, you would select on the three dots menu for the group, click Edit, and then here is where I can tell Canvas you're going to drop the lowest score from this category. And that adds that rule to the group. Now, in thinking about weights, I know that's something that's important to many. If you can see here on my screen, I know it's a little small. This particular assignment here is worth 10 points, but this second assignment here is worth 15. So you can have different weights of points per assignment. And you'll see where we can set that up when we get to assignment setup here shortly. From the assignments area, I want to go ahead and show you quickly how to create an assignment. And I know we're all eyeing that plus assignment button in the corner. While it's possible to make an assignment here, I want to go ahead and show you the best practice right now. And the best practice is to make your assignment in modules. And I know that seems odd to many, but if I can choose the module where the assignment is supposed to go, so for example, if I've made this Unit 1 module, but oops, I forgot, there's another assignment that should be here. I can make the assignment here. So to make an assignment, I can click on this plus button for the module where it's supposed to go and choose Create Assignment. So remember my journal assignment, right? I'm going to go ahead and make that here. So I've made it, and it will appear at the bottom. At this point, you can drag and drop it to the place where it's supposed to go, and then click on the link to build up the assignment. And so it consists of this. You see an edit button here. This is where you add your directions and details and settings. So for now, I'll just make a quick directions area here. This is, by the way, the rich content editor. You saw that when you saw my homepage, I think. But notice here, you have a lot of functions that look like Word, right? They look like Google Docs if you use those. So you can enter your text, you can add links, images, video, documents, YouTube, format your text. Imagine you can have your written text and video right next to it. So yourself explaining the assignment alongside the written directions. And after you have entered your directions, you can enter your points. So here is where the total point value gets entered. And in assignment group, this is where you place this journal assignment in the journals category. For submission type, I would recommend to start out. Let's choose online. And the easiest, I think, for us to navigate is file uploads. This is where the student is uploading a PDF or a Word document. Although you can have choice too. If you're okay with students submitting a video or a written assignment, then I would choose to check off both these boxes so students can choose. If you don't want them to choose, then just choose one box. It's as easy as that. Next, you would want to set the number of submission attempts. You can limit them. So for example, I liked to limit students to 2 or 3. Here is where you would enable Turnitin. Here it is right here. And we'll assume this is an individual assignment. So we're going to move through the additional options here. And let's take a look at due dates. You must put a due date or it will not appear on the student's calendar. And then they will say, oop, forgot to do it. So I'll go ahead and click that calendar, make this assignment due on the 30th. Do you remember when I set the default due time? That's how that pops up here. So that's the due date. Students can submit after the 30th, unless you set an until date. I saw that in the chat. So a setup like this would mean the assignment is still accepted after the 30th, but until the 6th. After the 6th, it's no longer accepted. So that's how I'd set that up if you want to do that. Now, there are going to be extenuating circumstances and students with accommodations. So while everyone can have this date, when you click on Assign To, you can type in the name of a student here and give them their own due date. And so everybody else has this date, but 3 students have some other date. So once your assignment is ready to go, you would click on Save and Publish. Remember, if the thing is not published, students can't see it. So now when I go back to modules, remember the journal assignment. See, here it is right here. So as a student, if I'm trying to find that assignment, here it is. It's right here. It's a Unit 1 assignment, therefore it's in the Unit 1 module. Now, assignments are not the only assessments you can have in Canvas. Let me go ahead and show you a discussion. This is a discussion board, as I'm sure you figured. You would use the rich content editor to set up your discussion directions, and students would click on reply. And they also have the rich content editor. I've seen students use images and video. You can even require that. So imagine you have in an online only course, for example, just videos of students replying to each other. I think that's great. But they would enter their replies here, click on reply, and you will be able to see all student replies. You can even grade these discussions. We'll get to grading here shortly. And here is a look at a quiz. So we may just have to go ahead and find the quiz here. To find a quiz, you're looking for a rocket ship. This is the settings of the quiz, which students don't see. And here's the instructor's side of the quiz with directions. And what you're seeing here are references to item banks. Item banks are groups of questions that Canvas can use to pull questions randomly from. So imagine you can have several different versions of a quiz given to students, maybe on every attempt. You would generate quiz questions using this blue plus button here to show you you have lots of different options for interactive question types. And for you to be able to see a quiz, it's not called View as Student, it's called Preview. But when you click on Preview, I think you get a better sense as to what students experience. So just to show you, you can have pictures as choices. As a matter of fact, this is multiple answer. So this is a great way to check to see if your quiz does what it's intended to. So I'm doing this pretty quickly. Obviously, these are not correct. Now, depending on your quiz settings, you can make it so that students will see the results. Um, See, I failed. Rest assured, you can modify this. So if you want, you don't have to have any answers showing to students at all. We will have detailed trainings on each of these topics later. But that's how you can get a sense as to what students will see in a quiz. Before we move on to grading, any questions that I can quickly answer?
I think we answered them in the chat, so I think we're good to go.
All right. Well, let's head on into grading then. Let's revisit the dashboard because if you remember, we're going full circle now, right? Oh, I have 2 submissions here to this problem set. So I can click on that link here and start grading. All right. Now I did this session this morning. That's why you see items here. But this is typically what you see when students have submitted something to you, except all the annotations. You'll see the students' work here. You also may see a gray bar at the top, but this is dependent on the assignment type. This is a file. The student submitted a PDF. So the ability to annotate the PDF will appear. If the student submitted a video, you will not have access to these tools. So just to let you know. But if you're so fortunate, you can add rich feedback through the annotation tools. Here is a marker tool. Choose green so you can track that. Click on some area and add a comment here. You can also do highlighting. Here's an example of that along with a comment. You can add text. That was this comment. You can do strike through. You can draw a rectangle on the student's work and then attach a comment. You can even do a freehand style. So this is a paintbrush. Click on the paintbrush, pick a color. I'll choose green again. And I'm not that graceful, but I can make a pretty good circle with my mouse. And then you can add a comment once you accept the annotation. So all those features are available if you have students upload a file. Now, if you did not have students upload a file, you can still make use of various feedback options here. I seem to recall there was a question about seeing all submissions. You can. I've used Bruce several times. So you can see all of the submissions for each of these dates that will appear here. You can also enter in a grade here. So you can type in a number, 9.5, 8.5, 10. And to be clear, Bruce here did submit on time, and that's why his status is none. If he submitted late, it would say late. He would be told that it's late. And if it was late, you would see an indication of that. You'd even see the number of days it was late, because it will tell you, even down to decimals, how many days it's late. The same for if it's marked missing or if you've excused it. Now, while you can type in a number, you can attach a rubric and use the rubric to grade. And so I'm going to stretch out this area here so you can see the rubric in detail. As I said again, I've used this already. But I can click on a square to indicate my judgment here and add comments related to my assessment here. The points appear over here on the right. And by the way, you don't have to have five. You can even do decimals, so 4.5 even is okay too. And then once you're finished, you would click on Submit Assessment. So the points will be added up. You'll see a check mark here to tell you Bruce has been graded, and the grade auto appears in the Canvas gradebook. And below this area here, let me clean this up a bit. You can add more comments, and you can type that in, format that, add emojis. You can upload a file of your comments that were created elsewhere. You can even add video comments. I will not subject you to another video, but you can add a video here of yourself explaining your feedback, or even audio of yourself explaining your feedback. And right here, you can even do speech to text comments. This was so helpful to me when I was tired. Hi there, Bruce. Here is all of my feedback on your assignment. You can clean this up. So you see that can be really quick to do, especially if you need to get this done quickly, right? And then you would hit on submit and save that. And then once you're finished with that student's work, you would move on to the next. So you can click on the right facing arrow to go to the next student. And once you're finished with all of your work here for this particular assignment, you would want to go to the gradebook. and take a look at how everybody's doing. And there is a way to enter the grade book right here. Please understand, I only have some fake students here, but I will show you a fuller grade book, I think. Right now, I'm going to swipe on over to my full grade book here. So it's a traditional column-based grade book with a list of your students here, with a column for each of your assignments. You can modify the order of the columns, which you can do inside the gradebook settings here. For auto-graded items like quizzes, those grades just appear here for you. And when you've graded assignments, those grades also appear here for you as well. There's also a color coding system. Take this assignment here. So I can see at a glance, this is missing for this student, but this is late. Late is indicated by blue, and then yellow here is indicated by excused. There is a menu for each column too. So if you select on the column, you can enter speed grader for this assignment. You can even message students who. This is a powerful feature. Keep an eye on Yelena right here. If I want to send a message to students who have not yet submitted, that's Yelena, right? Because she's the only one that had that cell colored in red. Canvas already knows who it is. See, it's the one student. And if you want to check, there's a drop down here. See, there's Yelena. So I can even send the student a message to say, hey, I noticed you didn't submit this. Can you go ahead and take care of it? And the inbox message appears in the student's inbox. Now, moving on over to the right, I'm not going to make you go through every single one, but at the very right of the gradebook, you'll be able to see a column for each category, along with the average for that category. And then far off to the right, you'll see the total grade for the student. There's also powerful search functions here. For example, you saw me just pick a assignment, right? So if I want to see the grades for just, I'll pick 1.7. See, that clears out all of the other columns so I can focus on the one assignment. I can also search for a specific student here. And so I can take a look at just Bruce's work right here. And by the way, if you're type A like I was, totally fine if you are. You see, ordinarily, when you post an assignment grade, the students can find out right away. If you'd rather that all students find out all at once, in other words, you want to hide grades, you can hide grades. This particular column is hidden. There is, in the three dots, an option to hide grades. So from that point forward, any grade you enter will not trigger notifications. And then when you're ready to let students know at once how everybody did on an assignment, you would choose post. We will have detailed grading trainings, so no fear if you feel like this is going really quickly. This is just an overview of what's possible in the grade book. Lastly, since we have a little bit of time here, I just wanted to show you, you can see a student's individual grades. So if you select on, say, I'll click on Annie, or I'll choose a different student, you'll be able to see their course card. Actually, let me do that inside of MTSU. That might be better. There we go. I have to fix the course scheme here. But you'll be able to see information about the students and their activity compared to the class. And here's where you can view their grades list. So you can click on that button there and see what the student would see when they check on grades for your class. And so right here, remember it was this problem set that we were just on. You can see the due date and when they submitted. I did hide this assignment, so he doesn't know yet what he did or how he got to it. There's a rubric assessment here, and here's where he can access all feedback that has been registered for him. So they can see your videos that you post. And that, friends, is a 30,000 feet high view of a canvas. Again, no fears. We're going to dig into each of these areas more deeply later, but for now, I hope this felt like a solid introduction to what Canvas can do.
Helen, we did have one question, primarily about feedback, about if you wanted to create a draft of comments on an assignment feedback, so before publishing or submit, is there a way to save those, or would it be better to adjust the grade so that it doesn't display to students until you're ready for students to see their final score?
This is a great, very timely question here, Karen. Really recently, I want to say it might have been last week. There is a new feature in Canvas called Schedule Feedback. Let me see if I can show you actually. I'm not sure if I can. So maybe. I do it here? No. It's so new that the message came out. I've been too busy to take a look at it. But in short, you can make it so that feedback goes out at a date and time of your choosing that is separate from the grade. So I would treat that almost like a saved draft. So you can enter your comments, but the comments are held until that date that you specify. So let me see if I can find more information on schedule feedback. Again, it's so new, I don't know too much about it. Okay, here it is. I'll drop this here in the chat for anybody who's interested. There was a blog post about it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It looks like some of the other questions that haven't necessarily been addressed yet are more about our course migration,
Sure.
as well as the accessing course shells that may or may not have appeared under the courses area earlier. Would you mind going back to the courses and showing folks how to get to their previous semester unpublished, those kinds of things, if they're not favorited?
Okay, so no problem. Inside of global navigation, you have a courses button right here. You will see, again, a way to access the courses that are on your dashboard, but maybe from the past semester, they're not shown here. So you would go to all courses. Now, my view is different. I did not have a past course in MTSU, but at the bottom here, you might see a past enrollments area and with links. So when you click on those links, you can enter those past courses. I can see if I have a better view inside of my instance, maybe. So I do have a lot of courses. Please, thank you for your patience. It's a lot of classes. But right here, the very, 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 very bottom, here's past enrollments. So you would find that past course in question. You can enter it, it's view only, and then you can do with it what you will.
And so the menu that appears if you just click on the courses button in global navigation, that is
Mhm.
your most recent, it's not all of your
Correct.
courses
Correct.
in your account.
Correct. Now, Karen said favoriting, right? Favoriting will bring that course onto your dashboard. So watch this. Let me pick a recent, like, a course that's not favorited right now. Okay, watch project-based learning here, right? I click on that star right there. So when I go back to my dashboard, there's project-based learning. Yeah, it's a tiny link there, isn't it, David?
And we also have resources on the faculty resources page, and I'll drop that information into chat, as well as we've got upcoming more training on things all over the place. And Helen has given some training before. I think we've got the recording on the CTM website, so I will also drop that in. But are there any last questions before we wrap up? And then definitely want to get to the questions about migration, but want to make sure that Helen's time is also respected. Any last questions for Helen?
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure. I feel so honored. Again, if this is your first time in Canvas, I hope you felt like, okay, it's new, but you're going to get it and you're going to be great. You're already great. Take this as an opportunity to be great with Canvas. Thanks so much for everything that you do, MTSU. Well, again, we're going to have lots of these trainings, so I have no doubt I'll see you again. So until then, stay safe. We have a nice storm warning in Knoxville, so it's going to be cold over there too. Be careful, stay warm.
And for those with questions about migration, if you want to hang on, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording so that Helen can continue on with her other obligations as well. But I think I'll be hanging out, and Jimmy may also be available as well. So thank you all for being here.